Hey, and welcome to Board of Life News for November 8th, brought to you by Weird Giraffe Games. Today I'm going to talk to you about Night of the Living Dead, Patchwork Doodle, expansions for Baron Park and Bunny Kingdom, as well as the Kickstarter for Welcome To. Let's get to it. CMON announced that they will be making a board game based off the movie Night of the Living Dead, the classic George Romero film. So the only real information we have is the box cover, which I kind of like the stark black and white look of it. I think it's a pretty good choice. Is that this is going to be based in the Zombicide system, the very, very popular zombie game system that CMON has produced a bunch of games with, which honestly is kind of a bummer for me. I think that there's certainly a really good game to make out of based off Night of the Living Dead, the movie. But Zombicide, to me, has always been about, like, kind of the fun of killing zombies and running around and blowing them up. It also, one of its strengths is, like, the different types of zombies it has. It has, like, a variety in the zombies where, like, Night of the Living Dead is, like, the most white bread zombies you could ever have. Super slow, pretty boring zombies, actually. And the, like, interesting thing in that movie is, like, being trapped and confined and paranoid and that kind of stuff where, like, Zombicide doesn't give me that feeling at all. So I don't know. It's kind of it's just not as exciting for me. Like I think like an Evil Dead making a Zombicide game based off the franchise of Evil Dead and all of that stuff would be great because there's all sorts of different monsters, all sorts of different kinds of stuff, and that's like kind of the giddy joy of blowing up zombies. So I don't know. That's just my take on it. I'm sure it'll make $1 million and be really successful and people will love it, but not my taste. Lookout Spiel unveiled Patchwork Doodle at Essen. This was one of several polyomino roll and write games or flip and write games that came out at Essen this year or got announced at Essen. This is designed by Uwe Rosenberg. It's obviously a mashup of his very popular two-player game Patchwork with a roll and write game. In this game, you're going to be drafting cards that show polyominoes on them, and everyone shares the same card. So like on my turn, when I pick this card, everyone then has to fill in their player sheet with the polyomino selected. There's also a couple of special actions. One of them is like fill in a 1x1 square. One of them is kind of interesting where you get to split the polyomino apart. So like I can use this half of this polyomino here and this half over here. So that seems cool. It seems like a quick, simple roll and write game. Weird that a bunch of out of kind of nowhere polyomino roll and write games got announced, and a little bit frustrating because I have a polyomino roll and write game coming out next year. So that seems to always be the case with game designers' brains, I guess, that everybody kind of like moves in the same direction, and then it winds up a bunch of games come out like that. So hopefully people still want more roll and write polyomino games. Fingers crossed on that one. Lookout Games also announced the first expansion for Baron Park. This is called Die Grizzlies sind los, which I think is The Grizzlies Are Coming? I don't know. Google Translate, maybe? This is designed by Phil Walker Harding, who designed Baron Park, of course, and it is based on his popular tile-laying game Baron Park. It's going to include 3 modules, which is pretty common with Phil Walker Harding's expansions. He often does that, where there's kind of modules that you can use some of or not use some of as you like, which is going to include new gold cards. It's going to include new grizzly tiles, which take up 6 squares, so they're really big tiles. And that will also come with a 5th park section. So now instead of completing 4 park sections, you're trying to complete 5. And the most exciting one for me is monorails. We are adding concrete pillars to your park, and then, you know, building monorails on top of those pillars. So there'll be a monorail raised up off the park that you can ride around the park in and get points that way. So that seems pretty cool. I loved Baron Park, so excited to see more content for it. Bunny Kingdom is also getting an expansion with Bunny Kingdom Cloud Kingdom. This is going to have a bunch of new stuff. It's going to have a new game board, which is going to be the Cloud Kingdom, and it allows you to link your bunny fifes from the sky to the regular bunny board on the land. It's going to have new cards, new resources, 5th player components, and a larger building that will be a 5-time score multiplier. I liked Bunny Kingdom, but it's suffered from a thing a lot of drafting games suffer from, which is like when somebody's better at it, they're going to win because they just know the card combos better, and I ran into that a lot. And also, the multiplication at the end of that game was crazy. It's like you're multiplying these huge numbers and adding them together, and it just got to really bog stuff down. And this expansion seems like it'll just add to that by letting you have bigger fifes, by connecting sky and land, and also a 5 times multiplier. So that's going to be a lot. This week's Kickstarter is for Welcome To. This is a roll and write, or actually flip and fill, where it's like a card-based roll and write game. Welcome to, I got a copy of at Origins, and it's certainly one of my favorite games of 2018 and one of my favorite roll and write games, so I highly recommend it. This Kickstarter's for the second edition, but they also have new thematic neighborhoods. They've already unlocked a Halloween neighborhood, a zombie neighborhood, and a Christmas neighborhood. They have different cards that come with them and different player sheets, so, you know, like the zombie one, you're trying to, like, survive a zombie outbreak. So it's a little bit of tweaks on the game, which is kind of cool and fun. You know, I can totally see, like, playing the Christmas neighborhood around Christmas time, or holiday neighborhood. I don't know what the name of it is, but it had Christmas lights on it, so I assume Christmas. There's also options for like dry erase sheets and playmats, things of that nature. So I highly recommend this game. If you don't have it already, you can get the base game for $25 on Kickstarter right now, and you should go back that. All right, that's the news for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Bryan Games on Instagram and Twitter. Also, I have a Patreon. If you want to support me in that way, there's some different rewards and stuff you can get that are pretty cool. There's a link in the description below. This week's question comes from @SomeFatKid via Twitter, and that is their Twitter handle. I'm not just being a mean person for no reason. And they ask, what game do you not want to play at BGG-Con? So BGG-Con is next week. I will be there. It's my favorite con of the year. I love getting to sit down and just play a ton of games, which is what that con is focused on. If you're going to be there, definitely seek me out, say hi, introduce yourself, and maybe we can play a game. I'm super into that stuff. BGG-Con, I play a ton of games. That's what I do. And normally I'm down to play just about any game. And of course there's like throwaway ones I could say like Munchkin, because I don't want to play Munchkin, and you know, I know a lot of people that are pretty into board games don't want to play Munchkin. But that would be kind of a eh. The real answer is Pitch Car. But there's a reason for it. I really like Pitch Car. I'm no good at it. For those of you unaware, it's a dexterity game where you're flicking these discs of cars on these like wooden tracks that you can build, and they're really cool. My friend Doug, every year on Friday night of BGG-Con, starting around midnight, builds a massive, massive track. It's, you know, like, I don't know how many different like base Pitch Car sets it is, and he's like laser cut custom pieces for it and all this stuff. It's huge. It's overwhelming. It's crazy. So he starts setting that up around midnight and maybe finishes around like 2 in the morning, and then plays, I think, like a 12-player game of Pitch Car. And so last year I played that, and I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And I wound up having to quit at like 6 a.m. or 5:30 in the morning or something like that after I think just 1 lap, and you're supposed to go 3. But 1 lap took us like 2 or 3 hours, which it was a fun experience to have one time. And now I told myself I will not participate. I will watch, though, because it's a lot of fun. But boy, oh boy, was that a long game of Pitch Car. And Doug's also incredibly good at Pitch Car, so he just like wiped the floor with me. And I'm very bad at it, so I just got destroyed. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.